Well, it's that time, finally spring. Finally get the Belvedere out of the shed. So I went and got the battery. Now we're gonna take the cover off, make sure everything's all good, make sure the fluids are good, get it going. So there it is, I got the battery in. Here's the car. We'll get it out so I can get a good look at it, but we'll see if she'll start up. So this will be the first startup of the season. There we go. Beauty of fuel injection. Take care of that real quick. Turn that off. All right. It's charging. Clock's working. Got fuel. Go easy here. The headers are low. Don't want to drag on anything. So I'm driving through my yard now. Actually going this way. Taking this thing for a little spin in a second. I'm going to check things out first a little bit more, and then we'll go from there. So here it is. Steamed up now. It's pretty humid out right now. It's cool in the shed. So let's go for a ride. Roll down this window here. So we can kind of air things out. Yeah, that's good. and have this in a bag, but it didn't come soon enough, so that's just kind of the way it is. I had to do what I had to do, and like I say, it's just it's like got a little dampness on it. Not that a little water won't hurt it, but here we go. Anybody hasn't seen any of my other videos of this car, 65 Plymouth. It's got a 512 cubic inch engine in it. That's why it's a little rattlier. Strokers will have a little more rattle to them. The other thing that makes this a little more rattly too, it's actually got a solid roller camshaft in it. So always has a little clankiness to it. You know, that rattle. But it runs good. It's got everything seems to be working good. Now it's got an overdrive transmission in it, the 46RH. I put my Roadrunner 2. There's overdrive right there. If you look, I'm doing 55 miles an hour, and there's my tach down there. So, and it's not in lockup yet. So, it's kind of a nice driving car, nice running car. You can see I did all the accessories. You know, it's got air conditioning. You see it on the dash there. Got the radio delete. You see me open that. That's where the radio is. Clock is a quartz converted clock. My alternator is no longer an amp gauge. It's actually a volt gauge. I have it set at 12.5 volts in the middle. So it gives me a really good idea on how many volts is working. Got a 230 amp alternator in this, so at idle it puts out 180 amps. You kind of need that when you're talking about electric fans, fuel pump, injectors, all that kind of stuff. So all works as it should. See, it's got the console. This is a Belvedere, so it would not have been a console car. I wanted a console in it and buckets, so I put that in. It originally was a bench seat car. I took the bench out years and years ago. So Belvedere was just a better way to go. drone to it when you get up to speed. It does have a drone, and been looking at ways to try to combat that, but it is a hot rod, so you've got to deal with some of this stuff. It's got a Dana 60 rear end in it, 373 gear ratio. Got Michelin tires all the way around it. There are 18s in the rear and 17s in the front. It does have a day-night mirror. That was another option. You have power windows in this, as you've seen me rolling down the other window. Not only do I have power windows, but I have power seats also. I put in a power lumbar also because I gotta, help your back out a little bit. So overall, I mean, it's loaded. It's got power brakes and power steering. I would say with this camshaft, though, the power brakes are good for a couple pumps, and that's where you're at. So you just got to be aware of it. But yeah, it's got power locks too. You can see the power lock there. There's the power windows are down lower. You see it on the passenger side. Power lock is the top one. Power window is the bottom one. It does have the dash pad. For some of you people that aren't into the 62 to 65 B-body stuff, that is actually an option. On most of these cars had steel dashes, so having a dash pad is unusual. This is actually an original dash pad, not from this car. I bought an original one from another car, so this is not a remanufactured. Although they do make them, or at least they did. I'm assuming they still do. Yeah, so it has bucket seats I put in it. Bucket seats are similar to Satellite without the Satellite logo, the Plymouth logo in it. I didn't want the logo. So I wanted it custom to this car. Yeah, as if a Belvedere were to come with buckets, this is the way I think it would have been. It's my opinion. I only went with the half horn ring 65. They did have a full horn ring also. I don't like the full horn ring, but that's just my opinion. I think the half ring is a sportier ring. You do have to change the steering wheel if you go with the full ring. It's got a different cutout, if I recall correctly. This is a pencil shift steering column also. In 1965 they actually went with a column shift in this car for an automatic. This particular car had a 3-speed on the column, so 3-speed on the tree. So I did have clutch pedals for this, but I have since removed them, put a automatic setup in it. So that's where we are. So we're continuing our drive. Going down the park. on a pillow there, so that way you can actually use it as an armrest. This has got a Hillborn stack fuel injection system on it, as you can see in the beginning. But you can see that this is, since it's electronic, very streetable, very street friendly. Also, you can see that I'm not hurting the wheel around back and forth. I have an extra firm type of gear steering box in it, which is by Steering Gear, and it's kind of nice. I don't know if it's like one step away from being manual, but it's nice enough that you have power, but you still have road control, where these cars, like any of your Mopars of this day and in the 70s, the steering is so easy. That it almost feels like you can just spin the wheel. But this is a lot firmer, trying to give more of a newer car feel. So the other thing, this has, like I said before, it's got the 46RH overdrive Mopar transmission in it. Hydraulic, so it's an RH. It's controlled. I did the whole thing, video on my Roadrunner using this also. It also has a 3000 stall converter that's a lockup. So as you can see, I'm buzzing right along, and I'm actually doing almost 60, but it's just putting along. Now I'm out of lockup. There's overdrive, or that's lockup, sorry. There's lockup. I screwed that one all up. I have overdrive coming in around 45 miles an hour, and lockup is just past 50. So, but it just kind of buzzes down the road. So they're doing close to 60 right now. There's my tab. Gives you a good idea on what that transmission will actually do for you. Again, this is a 373 gear ratio in this, so I do have a taller tire on the back though. It's about 30 inches tall. But you can see I'm not hitting any buttons or switches or anything. This is just all automatically working. It goes right down the interstate at 75 or 80 miles an hour with no problem. Probably right around 2300 RPM. So the idea is, that I could drive this thing anywhere. That was the whole point. This has been rotisserie restored, which means the underneath looks just like the top as far as the paint goes. I waxed the underneath too. Wheel wells the same way. So I've got other videos, little short snippets a few years back that shows some of that, I think. Actually, I have a video of the whole build of this car and just slideshow. 70s. Yesterday was only in the 40s and rainy, so that's why I had so much humidity in the shed. Really ever noticed, but that button right there is really kind of a factory location of a switch for a convertible top. I used to have a convertible one of these, but got parted out. So anyway, that switch is in that location, and what that is, that says release, that's a power trunk release. Right now I have it set up as a vacuum trunk release, but seeing as how I don't have a vacuum canister or any type of storage on this for vacuum, it doesn't work real well. So I'm going to change it over to electric, which I have, but that's what that button is for, is a trunk release. On the odometer, right now it's 2022. Got just over 6,000 miles on the car. I think I had it running 16, or yeah, I think the end of 16 I actually got it running. 17 was really the year. So I don't have a lot of miles on it, but I have driven it. I've driven it on 5-hour trips and different road tours and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm getting some miles on it. It doesn't just sit in the garage all the time. When you have more cars to drive, it's hard to put miles on them. Be ending my tour here.